Let's try instead Manuel from Florida. Welcome.
Hey, nice to speak with you. And
Likewise.
Florida is doing just fine.
Is that right?
It's pretty darn. Yeah, it feels like I'm walking out into an oven whenever I leave my house, though. So it's
All
pretty
right.
hot down here.
Well, at least the house isn't so hot.
Yeah, no, that's true. The
Yeah.
bills are pretty high because of that, but
I bet. I bet.
we have to take it.
I'm curious,
But
what's your like top electrical bill in the summer?
so I have this like 1,500 square foot house, and in the summer it could get to $250 for
Oh, I
electric.
have to tell you, that's not that bad. And you're running the AC almost 24/7, I assume.
Oh yeah, the whole way
Okay,
through.
that's actually not that shocking. That's all right. Well, fair. I thought you were going to tell me $800 or something.
Oh wow, I didn't know electricity was that expensive in other places.
I
That's
think there
crazy.
are places where if you run the AC all every day, you can get some crazy bills. Yeah, but good. You're not. That's a problem you're not dealing with, at least.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. But yeah, I did wanted to ask you this question. So I was speaking with somebody about, this contentious topic of abortion rights and whatnot.
Yes.
And, the topic tends to revolve around when life begins and stuff. And I've heard people say that it's science can't tell us when it begins. I've heard people say science can't even tell us when it ends. And I just get kind of concerned and I wonder, is it practical for us to make such definitions? Or should we look at life and death like in a nuanced way and like yeah.
Well,
I just wanted to hear your perspective
I
on
don't
that.
think the solution is everybody agrees to look at when life begins in a nuanced way. I think what the issue is that even if we got some answer as to when life begins, it still isn't going to change anyone's mind if they're against abortion for religious reasons. Imagine that science said, "Hey, you know what?" And by the way, the real issue is when are we talking about a person, not when life begins? I mean, no one would deny that a clump of cells is a form of life. The relevant question is, are we talking about a person? And if it's a person, does it get due process? Does it get citizenship? Does it get child support? Can you get the child tax credit when you're pregnant? All these other things that are really about personhood rather than life. But imagine that science said, hey, life begins at 9 weeks and 6 days into the gestational period. Do we then all agree about abortion? I mean, in that sense, it's a red herring. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. And whenever I do talk about this, I do like to frame it in the personhood kind of way, right? Because I mean, science is ever changing and who knows, right? Like we may understand that a 9 week old fetus has a full conscious, right? But at the end of the day, we assign personhood and we value like the choice of the woman and her life and her safety in these ways, right? Regardless of that. But yeah, personhood is great, but I just get I get worried because it kind of makes pro-choice sound crazy when people say things like, well, we actually never know. Like it's impossible to know. And it's also impossible to know like when people die. Like and then it just makes things feel relative and I don't know, I get lost in that.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I mean, I think there's some value to the speed limit analogy, which is like, listen, sometimes to live in a society, we have to draw lines where there are gray areas. So you probably would have imagine a road where you go, listen, 100 miles an hour, no one's going to say 100 miles an hour is a reasonable speed limit here. And no one's going to say that it's five. We're going to set the speed limit at 40, and certainly, if it's dry and clear, you could probably safely go 55. If it's dark and icy, you're going to have to go slower. But this is where we're kind of drawing the line. And when we get into these rare circumstances of like partial birth abortions, as they're sometimes called, late term abortions, everybody has a term that's loaded that they want to apply to it. And then they say, well, it's we're talking about a person at 7 months, and someone goes, well, here's one way where it would really be six, and here's another way. from the standpoint of policy, sometimes lines have to be drawn when things are blurry. But this is a different question than if we got an answer to when life begins, then do we resolve the debate? The answer is obviously no.
Yeah, 100%. Well, thanks a ton for your time. And
Thank you for the
yeah,
call. I appreciate it. All right. There's Manuel from Florida. My audience knows I read. I read a ton of books. I read nonfiction. I read fiction at night. I'm always trying to consume information. And the truth is, I don't have the time to read every nonfiction book that I would like to read. One thing I do not have time to add to what I'm reading in paper form is more history, but I want to know about history. And that's where our sponsor, Blinkist, comes in. Blinkist doesn't replace reading books cover to cover the way I love to do. But for example, with everything going on right now with Roe v. Wade, I wanted more of a detailed history of Roe v. Wade in the United States. So on Blinkist, I was able to get a 15-minute condensed audiobook of the Mary Ziegler book, Abortion and the Law in America, Roe v. Wade to the present. And in 15 minutes, I get a great overview. Blinkist also has slide presentations that will take you about 15 minutes to go through. So it's not to replace reading. It's in addition to, for me, you get the key takeaways from Blinkist from the books I would certainly otherwise miss out on. You can try Blinkist for free for 7 days and get a 25% discount off of a subscription at Blinkist.com/Pacman. The link is down below.